Day, friends and family. So today, last night, if my eyes look a bit glassy, I've been laughing my bum off today. So that's why, so no stress, this is good chats. But last night I went to bed, in a different shirt. I went to bed and I was considering just posting cool stuff that I find and obviously making videos on it. And this is in reference obviously to the video I made yesterday about your inner child work, and it's also seemingly in back reference to other moments that I've had throughout my now making videos journey as to your inner child healing. And welcome to the live stream. I hope you're doing something this time. I don't think they are, but let me know. And so last night I was laying in bed and I'm thinking about how it's all well and great that I'm giving information about your inner child, but I'm not giving you any information on how to start it, I guess, how to start your inner child healing, or how I started it. So I wanted to share with you how I started my inner child healing. And I'm going to say it happened around 2011, 2012, when I started really looking into my spiritual journey as a whole, coming from a partial Jehovah's Witness background. That did give me the knowledge, I guess, of something better, something higher, some higher wisdom was there. And then my mum, she loved her crystals, her Buddhas, her tarot, so I also had that conflicting part of life, but I loved that as well. And I also know that growing up I had gifts that I was told no, and Mum was like, oh yeah, this is great. But anyway, so I've done obviously years and years and years of self-development work on myself and just nurturing my life, and obviously that means nurturing the trauma in my inner child. So I just wanted to let everyone know where I started with it, and I didn't start with it from a place that was written or somewhere where I had heard about, found out about, whatever. I did my research, obviously. I'm big on researching stuff and patterns and all the rest of that. So obviously in all of the text and everything you will read or hear, it will be about healing your inner child and going deep into the feelings and everything else. And so that I understood, but because of my trauma, I had blocks. Like, there was no way that I wanted to go back into all of those moments. Not just from the SA, but also, my stepmother was horrible, and Mum always in and out of psychiatric wards, and all of the neglect that came from that, because Dad was always involved with Mum, and it was just like forgotten, sort of invisible. And so what I did is I found that instead of going back to the moments and feeling the moments, what I would do is I would go to where I felt most attached in my life, and where I was also detaching from life, essentially. And that was being brought up on farms and stuff. We really didn't have TV stations and stuff, so I grew up on movies, Disney movies, and so it was The Dark Crystal, which I didn't really like. That freaked me out. But then it was Little Shop of Horrors was so funny. It was Alice in Wonderland and Mary Poppins and Flipper and just all of those fantasy, like real cool, deep fantasy movies. And I had one called The Floppy Dogs, which I used to love to watch. And so it was always that was my getaway, the whimsical and the magic, and just being able to lose myself in the moments of, being Alice and things like that. And so those were the moments where I found, that's the TV, by the way, that glare. Hello, fish tank. It was in those moments where I was able to go back to, because there were such great moments. And whether it was watching the movies again, like I've watched them hundreds of times and we'll watch them again, but it was purposefully going back into, sitting on the floor as a child with the pillows around me watching the movies. And that's where I found that in the image that I had created in my own mind of me sitting watching the movie, I would be able to then watch myself, look at myself as an adult, just go and give myself a hug or go sit behind myself on the couch and watch the movie as well. And so that in itself, it's not at all spiritual bypassing, I don't believe, but I feel for that in itself, I was able to then, give myself love at that point in time, and go through those really cool parts again and bring myself back together. And sort of my adult self was in that moment connecting and embracing my inner child, watching myself sit there. So that was the beginning of the journey, and then my life just became whimsical the way I wanted. And along the way, just pick up little bits and pieces, like, finding 4-leaf clovers and keeping little dragons and finding the magic in life. And that is why, this is where I wanted to go with this, that is why my inner child loves magic and loves to find the magic, because of being able to go back into those moments where I was most free as a child. And I can't go back to horse riding, that's another story, except for this year. And yeah, so I was able to go back to those moments as a child and draw into myself all of those good feelings and those freedom feelings, and then work on the outside, everything else that was going on around me while I was escaping. So yeah, I just wanted to share that, because that was where I started. And we all, I absolutely know, had that place where we escaped to, and it was always that nice place. So whether it was going down to a pond and watching the ducks, go back there and sit with yourself and make the time to look at yourself as though you're looking at your little self, your younger self, and just give them a hug. Give them a hug. And that's where it all starts. And then, you might find afterwards your home is, I actually don't have a lot. I have nothing else in Wonderland, but I have a lot of Lego flowers and flowers and flowers and jigsaws and sparkles and shells and all sorts of just cool stuff that I call cool. So you might find your house gets suddenly filled with ducks and ducks and ducks and ducks and lilies and lily pads, but it doesn't matter. It's all a healing journey, and I encourage you to do it, and I encourage you to also go through the moments. It's not easy. It's definitely not easy, because at some stage you do have to deal with the feelings. But if you go back and visit those feelings strong, and with knowing that that is what you have to do to release from it, then you go in with power, and you also go in already half healed, because you've already healed and nurtured your inner child. So you've already given strength to the moment from your standpoint. Anyhow, you got this. That's more or less, like, obviously my journey's gone a lot deeper, and there's been years and years, but this is towards the end result. I have healed so much, but there's always layers. It's like an onion. Gotta tell you, it's like an onion. You think you've done one and you're like, yeah, done, tick, and then suddenly a couple of years later, months, days, a new layer will just go next, and you're like, okay, right. But you got this. It is worth it. It is so worth it. And just the feeling of being allowing yourself. It's not being allowed. God, that was so parent. The feeling of allowing yourself to be able to just express who you are, be who you are. Children don't care if they're having a tantrum in the shop. So be who you are and let the world see who you are as much as possible, as much as you want to allow, of course. And yeah, just embrace your inner child and enjoy the journey. Bye.